Welcome, everyone, to Cedar Lane Unitarian Universalist Church, a community where love works. I'm Abhi Janamanchi, pronouns are he, him, one of the ministers serving this religious community. If you're new with us this morning, please let us know in the live chat. And if you feel comfortable, fill out the newcomer form that's included in the chat. Whether you're joining us today for the first time or you've been with us for a lifetime, you are welcome. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on life's journey, whatever your beliefs, gender identity and expression, immigration status, you are welcome here. If you've been attending for a while and are interested in being a member of our religious community, please reach out to Nicole Kazi, our membership coordinator. Our pastoral visitors are an extension of our ministry team. They are available in the chat today to support you. After the service this morning, we invite you to join fellow congregants for a virtual coffee hour. You will see a URL link in the chat after the service that will get you there. And now I have a couple of quick announcements. Please make your pledge of financial commitment to the 2021-22 annual fund campaign today, online, or at the pledge card drive-through at Cedar Lane at 3 p.m. I look forward to seeing you there. And please register to attend our all-church auction from April 16th until May 2nd. Donations are still needed. The auction team is looking for art, antiques, jewelry, vacation homes, lunches and dinners in your home or at restaurants. Please check the e-news to register and donate. Thank you for the many ways in which you give and support Cedar Lane. This morning, we remember that our beloved Cedar Lane is located on the traditional land of the Piscataway, Nacotchtank, and Anacostia people, past and present. We honor with gratitude the land itself and the people who have protected it through the generations. We remember those who were enslaved and worked this land without choice or reward. We remember all who have gone before us, whose vision and labor help create and sustain our religious community. This week was the anniversary of the World Health Organization's declaring a global pandemic. And today marks the one-year anniversary when the ministry of Cedar Lane went entirely online. It has been a year since we've had to unexpectedly and dramatically alter the way we live. Most of those changes are still part of our daily routines. So we mark this year of disruption and change, of living and dying with COVID, of isolation and fear, of relationships defined by distance, of connection and community. We bear witness. We bear witness to the losses we have known, losses our world has known. We bear witness to the loss of livelihoods, loss of opportunities, loss of learning, loss of family, loss of community. We bear witness to the losses that didn't need to be, the way that responses to this pandemic have fallen disastrously short, bear witness to the patterns and practices of systemic racism that continue to persist. With all of that, we recognize the blessings that have come in this time, the insights that come when we are shaken awake, the blessings of learning more deeply what it means to center caring for and sharing with each other, recognizing our interconnectedness and our interdependence, being present to beauty and love, death and life, of carrying on despite loss and disruption. In this spirit, we gather. In this spirit, we begin. Let us greet and welcome each other in the chat.
It starts here, in this moment, in this breath you feel rising in your chest. The beat building between us, the healing, the hunger, the hope, the courage, the calling, the commitment, the drawing out of a new day. It begins now. In the imagination, in this story we weave together, this song we sing, this prayer we bring into being from our hearts to our lips, from our hands to our life, our shared life. It starts here with praise and thanksgiving, forgiveness, and this humble, centering confession that we could be wrong. This promise that we make to keep learning, to keep trying, to keep our sense of humor, to keep close this knowing that we are all in this together. Come, let us begin. Come, let us worship together.
Good morning. I am babzz, the worship associate for today's service. My pronouns are they, them. I am lighting my chalice in Bethesda, Maryland. As I read our chalice lighting words, I invite you to share in the chat where you are lighting your chalice from. Each time we light the chalice, we renew our commitment to our Unitarian Universalist faith. With the spark of a match, we make it new again, as fresh and surprising as the first day we encountered the spiritual community and realized we were home.
My name is Kimberly Clarkson, and I have been a member of Cedar Lane for as long as I can remember, really. I grew up in the RE program at the church, and my parents, Judy and Jack Schaefer, were really involved in the church and volunteering at the church when I was growing up. I have been part of youth programming, have taught RE classes since I was in high school and continue to do that today, and really find that Cedar Lane has always been like a second home to me. And so I now have 2 children of my own who are in the RE program, and that brings me immense joy. During the pandemic, Cedar Lane has played a significant role for my family and for me personally. I was able to join a Soul Matters group, and so I found community and fellowship there, making some new connections and reigniting old ones. So that's been wonderful. Both of my children have been involved with youth programming. They participate in the weekly game night that Cedar Lane coordinates with River Road Unitarian Church. My daughter is currently a part of the 30 Days of Love youth group program that is going on. My son actually participated in a national online middle school conference for UU youth that happened last weekend. And we were fortunate enough to enjoy Holiday Craft Day, which honestly was one of the highlights of this pandemic year for my family. Participated in the Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service that the church offered. It really has been amazing to see how much the church has offered to people during this time of isolation and separation and distance. And all of that is on top of the regular Sunday programming that really has been fantastic. When things get back to normal, I'm really looking forward to being back in the sanctuary with the Cedar Lane community, hearing Abhi preach from the pulpit and being able to process that in that space with the community of people that I value so much. Being able to be a part of community action that the church supports, going out and marching and protesting for the values that we believe and speaking up and really, living out the values of being a member of a Unitarian Universalist church. Looking forward to my kids being even more active members of the youth groups. Looking forward to my son being a part of the OWL class at some point in the future, and continuing to find ways that we can all just be a part of that together in community. And coffee hour. Who doesn't love coffee hour? It's a wonderful time. I have supported Cedar Lane financially for over 20 years. It has always been a space that I have felt it was important to make financial space for in my budget. The way that the church supports the broader community, supports its church members, the way that the ministerial leadership is there and lives out our values as a Unitarian Universalist church is just remarkable. It has always been a place that I think is deserving of my financial support and will continue to be in the future.
heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace, when our heart is in a holy place. When we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes, and our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace, when our heart is in a holy place. When we tell our story from deep inside, and we listen with a loving mind, and we hear our voices in each other's words, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace, when our heart is in a holy place. When we share the silence of sacred space, and the God of our heart stirs within, and we feel the power of each other's faith, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace, when our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place.
Hey, Chloe and Teddy.
Hi.
Hi. So I was wondering if you all could do me a favor.
Which favor?
Would you mind tasting these lemons?
Yes, I wouldn't mind.
Tell me what you think.
Ew, sour. Ew, sour.
Yeah, lemons are really sour, but when you make juice out of it, it doesn't taste so sour anymore. When you use your lemons to make lemonade,
Because you put sugar in it, yeah.
you put sugar in it and you put water in it, and it changes the way it tastes. Sugar and some water. And now let's see how this tastes.
Not sour.
Not sour.
Sugary. Just like
Sugar.
a lollipop.
Sweet. So when life gives you lemons,
You eat them.
you can make lemonade.
I had one.
This year, Cedar Lane members, friends, and fans have really worked hard to take lemons and make them into lemonade. And for that, I am truly amazed and in awe and wonder of each one of you. Our volunteers in faith formation and family ministry have gone above and beyond to make sure that our children, youth, and young adults still have programming during these pandemic times and can stay engaged and connected to the church. Our volunteers on Sunday mornings help with chapel and help with RE for our elementary school children. They have done an amazing job of meeting the moment, taking lemons and making some delicious lemonade. Our volunteers with our youth as mentors and as leaders in our Side with Love and facilitators with our Side with Love program have really done an amazing job of providing some fantastic and high quality faith formation for our youth. Additionally, we have a new lay team of young adults who are working to build programming for our 18 to 24-year-olds. They also are being so flexible and so helpful in the ways that they're thinking about engaging this very important population of young people. Additionally, we have people helping with our family ministry team. We have people helping with our holiday craft day and people helping with our Halloween celebration, and even now people helping with our Easter celebration. All of this during pandemic times. Cedar Lane is doing an amazing job of meeting the moment.
You cooked it. You cooked it.
Use the other one. Use the white one now.
No. Get a cup, please. Somebody get a cup. Help me. Sorry, I don't know how you just do this. And that means we're done made. So sweet and sour.
Teddy, wow, you're such a good lemonade maker. Thank you, Chloe, Teddy, and Dana, for that wonderful message and giving us hope and how we can all enjoy lemonade, even if we are dealt lemons. We take an offering each Sunday to give of our material resources with generosity and gratitude to support the mission and ministry of our religious community. No matter how much we give and how we give, the act of giving is a symbolic reminder that giving is just as important as receiving. That sharing what we have is how we live out our faith and our values. Our free will offering says that the act of giving is as essential to our spiritual well-being as anything else we do on Sunday mornings. We are grateful for the incredible generosity of all of you, our members and friends over the past year, in support of our congregation's ministry and the many community organizations that we partner with in service of our mission. 2 weeks ago, we kicked off our annual fund campaign, Meeting the Moment, with our sibling congregations River Road and Fairfax. Our goal at Cedar Lane is to raise $875,000. And I am happy to report that we are almost halfway toward that goal, and 56% of the families who have already pledged have increased their pledges of financial commitment substantially. Thank you for your generous support. And over the next couple of weeks, I hope that every member and friend will make or increase your financial commitment. Of course, you're welcome to pledge online today or show up at Cedar Lane for our drive-through pledge drop-off at 3 p.m. Our Share the Plate offering this morning will support Shepherd Stable located in downtown Silver Spring. Cedar Lane member and longtime supporter of Shepherd Stable, Ann Fretz, writes, Shepherd Stable provides meals and other services to the most vulnerable in our community who are experiencing food insecurity, poverty, and houselessness. During the pandemic, even more folks in our region have struggled to make healthy meals for their families. In response to this increased need, Shepherd's Table has embarked on an ambitious program called Beyond the Table to serve prepared meals in 2 other locations, and they hope to extend it to additional sites. This expansion of Shepherd's Table outreach is costly, and extra funds are needed to ensure its success. Cedar Lane has long supported Shepherd's Table by contributing large quantities of vegetables each month. Today, please help make a difference by giving generously to this worthy organization through our Share the Plate offering. Our offering will now be given and gratefully received.
There is a love holding me. There is a love holding all that I love. There is a love holding all. I rest in this love.
There is a love holding us. There is a love that we love. There is a love that we lost.
There is a love holding all that we lost. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all. There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we lost. There is a love holding all that we love. We rest in this holding of. We rest in this love. We rest in this love.
Each time we gather for worship, we set aside time to expand the caring ministry of the congregation. Together, we recognize the cycle of life and death, the circle of love, compassion, and witness that is at the heart of our religious community. Our hearts are always with those whose primary spiritual practice is parenting, and we hold in our circle of caring those who live with grief and chronic pain, those with illnesses seen and unseen, with mental illness or addiction, and those who are caring for family members in ill health or experiencing job loss or financial insecurity. Within our Cedar Lane community, we hold in our hearts the friends and loved ones of longtime Cedar Lane member Kathy Cooper, who passed away on March 6th. A celebration of her life will be held on April 10th. We continue to hold Chris Graham and Rick Lohmeyer in our hearts as they navigate Rick's illness. We hold in our hearts Jean Thompson and her family as they mourn the passing of her daughter, Amy. And we celebrate with our former intern minister, Reverend Norm Allen, who was called by unanimous vote to Davies UU congregation as their settled minister. And we celebrate with members Roya Aki and Erin Adrian as they welcome their child, Aiden. And a big happy birthday to Board President Todd Chernikoff, who turned 60 this week. Our caring extends beyond Cedar Lane to others whose lives are lost and whose lives are impacted by the violence and calamities of our nation and of our world. It's been a year since Breonna Taylor was killed by the Louisville police, and our hearts are breaking all over again as we still say her name and struggle for the world Breonna deserved. We hold in our hearts the more than 540,000 people who have died from COVID-19, the millions who are infected, and those who continue to risk their health and well-being to keep us safe, healthy, fed, vaccinated, and connected. Beloveds, please join me in this prayer of remembrance. We are the keepers of the sacred memories of this time, and those memories take shape in us, around us, and between us. So let us tell the stories of the people we lost to COVID. Our friends and families, spouses and children, parents, grandparents, uncles, aunts, cousins. Let us tell the stories of the baristas and waiters and cashiers, the nurses, doctors, and certified nurse practitioners, the flight attendants, pilots, and ramp workers, the teachers and bus drivers and principals, the postal workers, farm workers, and the construction workers, and that person who you used to see on the metro every day, whom we haven't seen in a year. Let us tell the stories of how, like palm trees in a hurricane, our flexibility was pushed to its very limits, and each of us had to dig deeper into our well of resources than we ever have before, and how simple acts like grocery shopping and going to the park felt like bargaining with fate. And how we watched the news each day and felt a tidal wave of dread washing over us, numbers of deaths rising and rising until our brains could not comprehend the casualties. And let us tell the stories of how we never missed a Sunday of church, how we pivoted from in-person to online in less than a week, each of us holding vast amounts of grace and understanding in our hearts for the hiccups and bumps in the process. And how we worked together, all of us, to stay connected to our faith communities, even if it was just reading the e-news. Let us tell the stories of how we sewed masks for each other, left meals and groceries for each other on our doorsteps, and take care of yourself. To each other with eye contact and sincere concern. How we washed our hands religiously and we helped each other figure out Zoom and Google Classroom and a cappella. Let us tell the stories of the days that brought a glorious intimacy with our chosen or inevitable quarantine mates, and the friendship bonds that were forged deeper through the trials of living through these times together, and the many hours spent figuring out what to do when we are bored. Let us tell the stories of the times that we were irritable with whomever was closest to us because it was all too much. And we just numbed out, binge watching or doom scrolling. And how we learned new vocabulary like asynchronous and podmates and N95 masks. Let us tell the stories of the parents who brought new life into a world that was inflamed and infected, only to be isolated and unable to lean on their support networks. The siblings who had to say goodbye to their beloved mother over FaceTime, and the healthcare worker who used her personal phone to make sure that call happened. And the seniors whose graduations got moved online and whose proms got canceled. Let us tell the stories of the scientists who worked brilliantly and expediently to create a vaccine, and the people who turned mass testing sites into mass vaccine sites seemingly overnight. And when this time is over, let us keep telling our stories. Let us find people who are willing to listen. Let us create rituals of remembrance. Let us find a new normal that affirms the inherent worth and dignity of us all. Let us carry the flame.
In the toughest time you ever knew, the only thing that you could do was carry the flame. Sickness spreading through the land, you held your spirit in your hands and carried the flame. When storms and sorrows gathered round, you raised your head and you stayed your ground. You carried the flame. Through endless days of the hardest living, you kept on loving, kept on giving. You kept on and carried the flame. Carry the flame, raise it high, send its beacon through the sky. Keep it strong and shining through the pain. Let it rise and let it grow. Let it light the world, you know. Let it glow. Carry the flame. And when the day is done at last, we take on the spark you've passed and carry the flame. From hand to hand we send it on, the kindling hope of a rising dawn. In a song we carry the flame. Carry the flame, raise it high, send its beacon through the sky. Keep it strong and shining through the pain. Let it rise and let it grow. Let it light the world, you know. Let it glow. Carry the flame. We are nurses, doctors, teachers. We are children, parents, preachers, and we all carry the flame. We are scientists and cargo packers, farmers, singers, grocery stackers, young and old. We carry the flame. Carry the flame, raise it high, send its beacon through the sky. Keep it strong and shining through the pain. Let it rise and let it grow. Let it light the world, you know. Let it glow. Carry the flame. Let it glow. Carry the flame.
As we enter the silence, I invite us all to remember the lives lost from COVID this year. And for those who are mourning a loss or marking the anniversary of a loss, you're invited to rise or to share a loved one's name in the chat, in mourning and in memory.
What if you thought of it as the Jews consider the Sabbath, the most sacred of times?
Cease from travel, cease from buying and selling.
Give up, just for now, on trying to make the world different than it is.
Sing, pray. Touch only those to whom you commit your life. Center down.
And when your body has become still, reach out with your heart.
Know that we are connected in ways that are terrifying and beautiful. You could hardly deny it now.
Know that our lives are in one another's hands. Surely that has to come clear.
Do not reach out your hands. Reach out your heart.
Reach out your words, reach out all the tendrils of compassion that move invisibly where we cannot touch.
Promise this world your love.
For better or for worse.
In sickness and in health.
So long as we all shall live.
Find the stillness, hold the stillness, let the stillness carry me. Find the silence, hold the silence, let the silence carry me. In the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit giving power, I will find true harmony. Seek the essence, hold the essence, let the essence carry me. Let me flower, help me flower, watch me flower, carry me. In the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit giving power, I will find true harmony.
I want to begin with two stories and a confession. Maybe one of them will resonate with you. The first is a Japanese wisdom tale. Non-In, a Japanese master during the Meiji era, received a university professor once who came to learn about Zen. but then proceeded to tell the master all that he knew about Zen already and all the books he had read about Zen. So Nan-in smiled and said that they should discuss the matter over a cup of tea. The master poured his visitor a cup, but then he kept on pouring and pouring and pouring until the tea overflowed the cup and spilt all over the table and the professor's clothes. Now the professor could not restrain himself. "Enough," he cried out. "You're spilling the tea all over. Can't you see the cup is full?" The master stopped pouring and smiled at his guest. "You are like this teacup, so full that nothing more can be added. Come back to me when your cup is empty." Now, the second story comes from a colleague about 19th century Supreme Court Justice and Unitarian Oliver Wendell Holmes Jr. Every day, without fail, Holmes had a bowl of oatmeal porridge for breakfast. Now, one day, his cook reported somewhat apologetically and with some trepidation that there was no more porridge left for breakfast. To which Holmes responded, "Oh, that's all right. I never really cared for it anyway." So now for the confession. I don't like to take vacations. I really don't. In part because I don't know what to do with myself when I take a vacation. But there's something deeper as well. I just feel like I don't want to take vacations because I am really busy. So when it comes to vacations, I am totally American. According to the Center for Economic Policy and Research, Americans by far have the shortest paid vacations in the developed world, and 26% of American workers get no paid vacation leave at all. And 40% of us leave vacation days unused. According to the online travel company Expedia, half of American workers don't take vacations because they are too busy to get away. And I'm one of them. Since last March, an overwhelming majority of Americans have worked harder and took less time off. They shortened, postponed, or canceled their vacations, and only 27% of Americans took a vacation since the pandemic began. And get this, 62% of them regretted going on vacation. Why do we do this? I mean, why are we working ourselves to death? Well, to begin with, work is seen as a professional plus. It is prestigious to talk about how many hours we work. I work 50 to 60 hours a week, we hear people say, including yours truly. Oh yes, we moan and groan about it, but there is that unmistakable touch of pride in our voices. If there is a commandment that we take great pride or feel virtuous about breaking, it is the fourth, thou shalt keep the Sabbath. Isn't it ironic that God gave humans a gift, a day of rest, and then made it a commandment so that they'll take it seriously? I guess the moral here is that we human beings have always had a problem with resting. But I think it goes deeper than that. I think we humans have always been reluctant to make room for the holy in our lives. We have tried to fill our lives with things to do, with stuff, tasks to complete, goals to achieve, and reputations to build and protect. Now, as a minister, even though I work mostly out of joy and gratitude and receive great fulfillment from it, I confess that I also work sometimes to construct and preserve an image, to feed my ego, and sometimes nurture that neurotic need to be needed. A part of me feels that if I were not working lots of hours, I could not be respected, loved, or accepted. I also tend to keep busy all the time because I have a hard time saying no to things. So whenever there is a request to offer a prayer or preach or lead a workshop or attend a meeting or do a wedding, my first impulse always is to say, yes, of course, I'll do it. And by keeping myself immersed in too many things that I can safely handle with integrity and attentiveness, I sometimes feel like I am betraying myself, my relationship with my loved ones, or my calling, or the organizations I serve. I am practicing what poet David White says, a kind of adultery, an infidelity. Because saying yes to more things than I can actually manage to be present with integrity and ease of being is in effect saying no to all those things and people and places I have already said yes to. Why is that, you may wonder? Precisely because if I am overwhelmed, it is likely that I will be agitated, stressed out, preoccupied, and distracted, that I won't be able to meet anybody or any solution from a place of ease and the fullness of my being. Now, I didn't arrive at this place of awareness all by myself, but with the help and guidance of a wise Cedar Laner who's been doing some gentle but firm spiritual kick in the behind executive coaching with me. So, over the last few months, with her guidance, I've been practicing saying no to things and actually beginning to get the hang of it. So, if you were one of those people who got a no from me, you know who to blame. Now, this brings me to the subject on hand, the Sabbath. Every great tradition includes some form of the Sabbath. Muslims have Friday as their holy day, and Hindus and Buddhists renew their vows of simplicity on full moon, new moon, and quarter moon days. Yep, they do a much better job. And of course, the idea of the Sabbath, 6 days of work followed by 1 day of rest, is an important spiritual practice in the Jewish and Christian traditions. The first story in Genesis, as we know, moves to a climax on the seventh day. Having created the earth and everything upon it, God rests, blesses the day, and makes it holy. God takes pleasure in what has been made. God shows no regrets. God doesn't say, dang it, I should have thought through that plumbing part for human beings. I should work on it this weekend. Nope. All is well. It is good enough. It is time to rest. Sabbath or Shabbat is an attitude. The attitude of respect for ourselves, for others, for all of life, and for that which is responsible for life. Because as difficult as life is, we must always remember to be joyful, at least 1 day a week. The Jews keep Shabbat, someone said, and the wise response came, no, Shabbat keeps the Jews. Secondly, the Sabbath is a sacred pause. meditation teacher Jack Kornfield writes, our life can take on a whirlwind quality of working, responding, answering, solving, building, caring, tending, and enjoying. It helps to train ourselves to pause before our response. This, he says, is called the sacred pause, a moment where we stop and release our identification with problems and reactions. Without a pause, our actions are automatic. In a moment of stopping, he says, we break the spell between past result and automatic reaction. When we pause, we can notice the actual experience, the pain or pleasure, fear or excitement. In this pause, we can examine our intention. In these moments, we remember our heart's task on earth. And this is what Reverend Lynn Ungar reminds us in that beautiful poem, Pandemic, that she wrote last year, about how this time could be a way in which we reach out with our heart. Also related to the Sabbath was the idea of the sabbatical year, which in the Jewish tradition was a year during which the land of ancient Israel was left fallow, observed every seventh year. Transferred to academia and ministry, this practice became the basis for sabbaticals. So, after 8 years of ministry at Cedar Lane, I will be taking a 2-month sabbatical beginning tomorrow. And I'm planning to be back in mid-May. Now, Cedar Lane is one of those UU congregations that believes that sabbaticals are good for its ministers and good for the congregation. My predecessors have all availed themselves to sabbaticals during their tenure, some wisely taking 6 months at a time and spending it in faraway places like Scotland and Australia. While being away for 6 straight months is hard for my over-functioning self, I'm still grateful to have this opportunity to empty my teacup, eat something other than oatmeal porridge, and step back for a bit. A time to practice being instead of doing, setting Cedar Lane down gently, stepping back, and even letting go. You see, we've accomplished a lot over the 8 years, and especially this year. We have worked our tails off. We get weary. And the truth is, all of us need a break sometime. For some relationships to survive, couples need time apart. Friendships too, sometimes. Everybody needs some way to help them stay fresh and keep perspective or even stay sane. This means not only that I need some time away from you, much as I love you, but you need some time away from me. Because you may have noticed that my fingerprints are in many far corners at Cedar Lane. And so it shouldn't come as a shock that my over-functioning self is involved in almost all aspects of Cedar Lane, both visible and invisible. Now, being fully involved is okay, even good sometimes. But it's also good for you to remember who you are when I am not around. Because I am not Cedar Lane, and I am not indispensable. Many years ago, when I was called to my first congregation in Clearwater, Florida, the Reverend Dr. Mark Morrison Reed gave me the charge by paraphrasing what his colleague and Cedar Laner, the late Reverend Andy Backus, told him at his installation. Abhi, he said, looking me in the eye, you can and will be replaced. I've always tried to hold that admonition in my ministry. I can and will be replaced. But while I'm away, Katie and Jen and Dana and Todd and Nate and the board and the staff will need your help. And they will do just great. But things will be different. And that's good. You may discover sometimes that you never really did like that oatmeal, or that it needed some other nuts and fruits. The intent is not for this time to be seamless or for the congregation to hardly know that I am gone. The intent is to find new and likely different ways of doing things, ways that may be better and over time may be even more sustainable. I am humbled and grateful for the chance to recharge my batteries in this way, especially after the grueling pandemic year we have all experienced. I hope to rest, go for long walks or hikes, not have to worry about sermon deadlines, show up on Sunday mornings. I want to do a lot of reading, fiction and murder mysteries, hopefully cover to cover, that have nothing to do with sermons. I will mostly be in town as my family go about their usual pandemic era lives close to home. But Lalita and I are also looking into traveling to India for a few weeks in April to visit our family. And I hope to return refreshed and full of ideas and rekindled energy for a new emerging church and an eventual return to being an in-person religious community later this fall. So this Sabbath time is a gift for you and me, a gift designed to restore us, a time when we let the cares and concerns of our lives fall away, and we exist just to be and for no other reason. We can just delight in being alive. We can breathe deeply and give thanks for all the blessings of our living, the blessings that we may have forgotten in our preoccupation with church work. We can be alone or be truly present to each other, to those we love. We can approach this time not as a commandment, but as an opening that makes space for the holy in our lives. The commandment just clears the path. It is the soul that must respond to the gift. And that is your choice and my choice. May we respond to that choice with the yes of our lives. May it be so. Amen.
Thank you for that powerful reflection, Abhi. Last month, I had the honor of providing a charge to the congregation at the installation of the Reverend Jane Smith at our sibling congregation, Channing Memorial in Ellicott City, Maryland. I shared with them that their minister will give the congregation all that they have. This is what ministry requires of us: mental, physical, and spiritual endurance to companion congregations for the long journey of life. What I asked the congregation to do was their part in the covenantal relationship with their minister, which was to honor their minister's days off, study leave, vacation, and their sabbatical time so that their minister would have everything they needed to stay renewed and fresh for the work of their shared ministry. I deliver this same charge to Cedar Lane. It's time for us all to honor and celebrate this important milestone, the Reverend Abhi Janamanchi's sabbatical, and to bless him in this time of renewal as we explore how our individual and collective hearts, minds, and spirits need to reclaim renewal as well.
A minister that honors their time of rest and renewal is a model for all of us. A model of how valuable time away is in sustaining our bodies, minds, and spirits. Today, as we celebrate this time with Reverend Abhi, I invite us all to look at our own lives and select some time to turn off our phones or take a staycation or focus on restoring our inner lives. To help Reverend Abhi get started on his journey in chapel, the children and youth shared a slideshow full of good wishes and a book about potential called Maybe. Will you please join me in sharing the following blessing for Reverend Abhi's journey? The words of the blessing will be available to you to read along, and I invite you to place your hand on your computer or near your computer screen as we read these words together and share that good energy with Reverend Abhi. Reverend Abhi Janamanchi, we thank you for your ministry. We thank you for the tireless hours of care at bedsides of our sick, your leadership in worship, administration in the public square, education, and your spiritual support and guidance through one of the most challenging times in history. We thank you for your ministry. The pieces that we have seen and experienced, and the ones that we have not, and been blessed to see. We bless you in this time of renewal. May you return restored and energized.
On behalf of the congregation, the Committee on Ministry, Carolyn Brown, Wangari Kamau, Elsie Derland, Eduardo Hernandez, and Vicky Strella have prepared some travel gifts for you, Abhi. Would you like to open them now?
Yes, I would. Thank you. Thank you for the gift that you are offering me, the gift of respite and rest, and for these many wonderful things that I'm trying now to pull out of this bag. A travel pillow, which I will use on my trip home. These wonderful gifts. A coffee cup to go. Untying the Gordian Knot. Process, Reality, and Context from Tim Eastman. Thank you, Tim. I look forward to digging into it. Some note cards. Oh boy. This is a bag that keeps on giving. Oh, is this a journal? you. And a notebook. I think yeah. Thank you so much. I look forward to spending this time carrying all your love and your good wishes and the blessings that you have offered, and will return refreshed, rejuvenated, and raring to go. Many blessings.
I'm gonna keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Never turning back. Never turning back. I'm gonna keep on moving proudly. Keep on moving proudly. Keep on moving proudly. Never turning back. Never turning back. I'm gonna keep on singing loudly. Keep on singing loudly. Keep on singing loudly, never turning back, never turning back. I'm gonna keep on loving boldly. Keep on loving boldly. Keep on loving boldly. Never turning back, never turning back. I'm gonna keep on holding freedom. Keep on holding freedom. Keep on holding freedom. Never turning back. I'm gonna keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Never turning back. Never turning back. Never turning back.
Thank you, members of the choir, and Rachel for that powerful anthem. Wow. I close our time together with a poem, Letting Go, by Morgan Harper Nichols. As a reminder, a charge, and a prayer. I hope you know that letting go does not mean you are giving up. It just means that after all this time, you are finally beginning to see. Even without the closure, you are worth the new beginning. And it is okay if letting go leaves you feeling tender. It is okay if it takes time to get used to the rhythms of a new beginning. What matters is that you remember that as you leave the past behind, there is grace, and there is time to slowly learn the way to breathe in this new space. Be kind to yourself here. All of this is new territory for you. And it is okay if all of the newness takes some time to get used to. Letting go is anything but easy. And this is also true. Even here, there is more ahead of you. So pace yourself. There is more ahead of you. Go in peace, my friends. Go making peace, living gently, loving mightily, and bowing to the mystery. May it be so.